Alright YouTube, I thought I'd throw a video up here. Show you big block S10. There's the passenger side header. Yes, you have to cut a section of your floor pan out and hump it up. I cut mine clear out. Now these, after doing a couple big block swaps, unless you want to spend money on big name headers, where you actually have to hack the living hell out of your chassis, or have a set made, this is your cheapest alternative. Now, there's two sets of headers, and you have to buy two sets. One side you use the passenger header, the other set you use the driver's side. These headers are stainless. They're $103 a set off of eBay. So can show you. Now, to me, after doing this, a couple of these trucks, I found this is the cheapest way to do this. Those are tubular A-arms. They come from Speedway Motors. They're for circle track. You have to use either two left or two right. If you look in the comments on them, it'll show you they're 50 bucks a piece. Stock ball joint. Put them on. You can put them back with your stock shims, and you'll be real close to being back to your correct alignment. You have to use them, or the header will not clear a factory control arm. See how it barely wraps around the end of that control arm down there? But yes, they dump inside the frame, as you can see down there. And I cut a little, like 6x6. I cut mine out bigger than what I had to, because I'm doing something a little different. I got something else that's going to go down through that small area right there. But anyway, there's the passenger header. Now, my radiator, it's a big Champion 4-row. It's got 4 rows of 5/8 tubes. It's for a 67 to 72 full-size Chevy truck. I cut the core support completely off on both sides. I made new mounts for mine. And I used my front fenders, and I used that little valance panel down here to square everything up and where to place it. These are support bars out of a 93 GMC that I reused. Over here, there's the driver's side header. Now this header come out of another set, from another set. Now, in order to get this header to go down through there, you don't have to cut the frame out. All I did, and I've got about a 1/4 inch of clearance between the header and the frame. On the top of your frame rail up here, I'm going to use this part of my frame for an example. What you do is you come up here and you take your plasma cutter and you cut along the top of the frame, right on the seam. Okay, then you come back on this side, you trim it back, go over to the other side, trim a little off, cut down about 1 inch on either side, heat that up, beat that back in till that piece comes under, till the outer piece comes up underneath this piece, and weld your seam back up. And that's all you got to do over there to get that header to clear. I didn't alter the firewall one bit. None. It's stock. Has a tall chrome Moroso valve cover. That is a small S10 booster. I've got 3/8 of an inch between the valve cover and the booster, and yes, I can get the valve cover off without taking the brake booster off. Steering column is the Jeep column. Steering shaft is the Jeep steering shaft with the U-joints. Manual gearbox. Now, I did cut the front of my frame and put a piece of 3-inch square tube across there under my radiator. You don't have to, but I did. There's another one of those Speedway control arms. You will have to notch the frame under the oil pan. You don't even have to cut it all the way through. You cut it down. I've got probably an inch still of material in the bottom of mine. All I did was cut it. It's a 10-inch wide swath out of the frame. It's a little off center because the motor sets a little off center. And you can sell what you need to do. All I did was laid a piece of 1/4 inch by 2 inch, I think it is, angle iron in there, welded it up, plated each side, done. So my frame still, I don't know if we can get down in here and see or not, where the oil pan's at. It's still complete. It's just notched. Now these headers cost me $103 a set, so I got $206 invested in them. They're stainless steel, 3/8 flanges up here. They come with all the gaskets. Excuse that light. That poor old light's fell on the floor 7 times in the last 2 days, and it keeps working. Goes out and comes back on. The passenger header is for a 67 to 70, 67 to 69, 70, somewhere in there, Camaro, big block Camaro header. This side, these headers aren't really made specifically for any motor. They're just a set of big block hugger headers. There is the passenger side header that goes with that one. The only problem with this one is where it dumps, it's into the frame rail. It don't go inside the frame like the Camaro header does. This literally, you would have to cut your frame clear out to get that one to work. And the driver's side Camaro header will hit your lower control arm hinge point. The collector goes right into it, so it won't work. But if you look on eBay, that's what that header looks like. That's where it dumps. And yeah, I did dimple it right here a little bit. I didn't have to. I can almost get my finger in between there, between the control arm and it. I did have to cut the stud off right here. I mean, it's a big block in an S10. And like I said, you can spend $1,200 on a pair of plain steel headers from Stahl or from Lemons, and 2 tubes come over the frame, and you have to massively cut the engine cross member, and the engine's got to be set in a certain spot, and it's just a bunch of bullshit to fit a $1,200 set of headers, which I think is ridiculous. There ain't a set of freaking headers made that I think is worth more than $400 or $500, period. They're nothing but steel tube, for crying out loud. I've used these eBay headers multiple times, these stainless ones. I've never had a set burn through, crack, split, or anything. I've got a set on a small block Chevy that's been on there for 6 years. They're still there. They're a little bit of bluing in the tops because of the motor, you know, it does get run a little hard. Let me go back over here. Oh. Tripped over a damn cord. Got so much shit laying on the ground, I got my foot caught in the damn air hose. Okay, now, I just used the small block Chevy conversion mounts. And I used the heavy duty 2.8 mounts on the frame. Mini starter is a must. But like I said, as you can see, that collector goes down inside the frame. Like I said, you know, it's your choice, but I thought I'd put this video up. I've got another one up. It's got, you know, S10 gets Camaro headers. That's a solid axle truck where all the control arm mounts have been cut off of the frame. So you have much more room on the driver's side underneath. And you can use the Camaro headers if you go that route. 3-inch body lift, you've got all the room in the world. Now all I did, that foil you see down there behind the header is the foil on the backing of my carpet on the inside of the truck. It's not the floorboard rolled back. It's actually the carpet. Like I said, I cut that hole out bigger than what it needed to be because I've got some wiring I'm going to have to sneak around outside right there. So when I box that back in, I'm going to put a grommet in the side over there, bring the wiring out, and bring it up to control frame. So it's actually going to come out over here, come down, and go into this hole in the frame, come up here, and come out the front up here. So, but there it is. I said that is the passenger side. It's the Camaro header. I showed you what the other side looks like. I got that big ass radiator in there. As you can see how wide the tank is on it. Core, 2 spout fans, short water pump, 2 groove pulley on the bottom, single groove on the top. It'll actually, you know, it's set where it needs to be. You got buku room in there. And if anybody's wondering, the motor is a 496 stroker. It's got a TCI tranny behind it with a 3500 converter. It has got a very large hydraulic roller in it. It's got a RPM air gap style intake from Professional Products on it. This is the motor that had the tunnel ram on it in the early videos I've got, and a half-ton Chevy pickup. This is that engine and transmission. I got a wild hair. Well, this is a result of that wild hair that I and my son got. So, but like I said, this is what I've been using, and like I said, $206. You know, and the one set of headers, they're all stainless collectors. The only thing I don't like is the collector's neck down to 2.5. I run 3-inch exhaust on a big block, period. But the one set comes with angled collectors because they're block huggers. The collectors are actually angled. I don't know if I have one of them floating around here somewhere. We were looking at one earlier. Oh, here's one. Here's what the collectors look like that come off the header that's on the driver's side. As you can see, they're an angled collector, but they're 2.5. The other headers, like the Camaro passenger header, actually has a straight collector. They're pretty long. They're also, you know, they're really thick. I believe that's 5/16 right there. Both of them, the 3/8 flange at the head, they're both square up here. Some headers are round. You don't want the round ones. You want to get the square port ones up here. You don't want to put a square port on one side and a round port on the other side. I mean, you can, but it's not really going to affect flow or nothing. But again, that's all there is to it, you know. I got a few other things to do. I got to change where take that piece of plate right there off. I'm actually going to get a piece of 1/8 inch and cut it and fit it to the firewall and bolt it back through. Another thing you have to do, you have to move your steering column over 1 inch at the firewall. Do not move it at the dash. Leave it mounted to the dash. Just loosen it. Come down here, slot your hole in your firewall, slide it over. I moved mine 1.5 inches, actually. So, scoot it over, bolt it back through the firewall, you're done. And I gutted all the wiring out of this truck this time. I put my own fuse box in, running my own wiring. This cab has been on 5 trucks. That's actually going to go right where the glove box was. There's fuse box, 10 slots. I put it out here so it's easy to get to, so I ain't gonna crawl under the dash. I put this in just for simply the fact because I had it, so I can plug the phone charger in, and then it's voltage right there. All of my switches, my start panel, my key, and everything's going in here where the radio was. I've got that panel in the house. Of course, basic on the gauges: oil pressure, fuel pressure, water temperature. Voltmeter, and that's a vacuum gauge on that side. Tack, that's about it. All of those switches are coming out. I said, there you see the header where it comes through. And the only reason it just barely hits, like I told you, when we cut this hole, you could have cut it clear. Let me get my fucking hand out of the way. You could have cut it clear like this and only cut like about a 5-inch wide, about 4.5 actually, wide area. I cut this bigger, like I said. There's gonna be I'm gonna put a rubber grommet right here and run that my wiring out. That's got to go under the hood down here, so it's out of sight. I'm trying to keep the engine bay as clean as possible, but yeah, this poor old cab's been around a day or two. So I put a whole floor pan in at once already, and it's set out in the weather for a while, and the goddamn carpet got full of water, and I'm gonna pull this carpet out actually and throw it away. I've got to take the old 4-wheel drive shifter out. I've got some new black, it's either black or gray, hell I can't remember what I ordered carpet for it. I got an LMC, and I'm gonna wire wheel the floor pan down, bed liner it, and then put the carpet and pad and everything back in. There's some Dynamat or something, and then the carpet and pad. But yep, that's about it. Fuel cells in the bed out of the GMC truck. Got it sitting on a piece of rubber bed mat for now, just something to keep it metal to metal. And got the fitting run out of there, but that's about it for right now. We got quite a bit done. We got the brake lines all rerun, gearbox swapped to the manual. And you guys, when you're trying to fit these hoses on these, doing these damn crazy ass motor swaps, these stainless hoses, now I didn't put the rubber end on the lower one, and I had to sleeve it and cut a piece of radiator hose to use, because this radiator had a big ass neck in it, and the same thing up there. These things you can buy like one of the 4-foot ones for like 60-70 bucks off of Amazon. Vegas Rat Rods, and there's another couple other shops that sell them. They're pretty much all the same shit, and you can bend it however you want, and it makes it fit in the hoses a hell of a lot easier. And they'll take vibration. I've run them for years and years and never had one split or crack or anything. So, but that's all that's going on. So, like I said, there's the header situation. If you want to save yourself a little money, $206, you got to buy 2 sets of headers, but they work a hell of a lot better than trying to cobble up some shit. Or, you know, you can use early Chevelle manifolds, but you're still going to have to heat and bend in that driver's side of the frame, even with the Chevelle manifold. So, because the one stud is right up against the frame, you won't be able to get your nut on it. But anyway, there you go. So, that's my 2 cents on big block headers on an S10. Later.